Hey, welcome, of course, to the Genius Zone here on Edge Radio Australia. Always exciting to have Terry in the building, who is slowly, with her great powers, transforming my mind into something useful, right? Okay, that's pretty much what it comes down to. Always a pleasure. Great to see you.
And a pleasure here too, Aaron. And I have to say that I'm also becoming very transformed as well.
Are you really?
Yes, because I'm becoming more and more organised, which is really weird.
Well, okay, I have to. I've got a complaint, okay? I'm going to start the show with a complaint. Here we go.
Yeah.
You look lovely, but you look so damn professional.
Oh,
now, okay, I'm wearing the
busy.
tee. I've got the shorts, which are carefully, strategically covered a little bit by the gear in front of me. But, I'm dressed for comfort. You're dressed for success, right?
Oh, well, I could always put the chair here.
Yeah, okay.
And that way I just look like you. I'm wearing black.
Yeah, we can get you.
And then we still suit.
We'll put an edge sticker on the front of your shirt.
That's it.
There you go.
Yes.
Oh, dear. To people coming online, lovely to see you. Fantastic. And always love having, the interaction going on, which is fantastic. So if you have any questions, any comments, so not just questions, good old-fashioned comments, we would love to hear those. So I'm going to do a little bit of, creative stuff when it comes to the computer. And in the meantime, Terry will tell us all about the show. What's going on?
Okay, what's going on?
What's going on?
Well, did you know that Maslow said we've got to live according to our highest potential?
Okay. Now, who was this person?
Maslow.
Mm.
Yeah.
No, I'm asking you for further clarification.
Oh,
here.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, Wayne Dyer's mentor.
Yep.
A very well-known, influential man that I don't know whether they called it manifestation back in those days.
Back in the day?
But they even, he created a psychology that would help people to work out who they are and how they ticked. And what this actually did was it helped people understand themselves better. So, I think this is one of the biggest elements that I have learned, and it's a simple thing, Aaron, but it's a profound thing, and that is that when we understand ourselves and when we understand others, especially if they're relevant, like if they're a significant other or they're someone that you're very close to, it's very beneficial to understand their psychology. So he was really into that.
Oh, so
and
true.
That way, instead of feeling like you're going to, just blow off.
We don't want anyone blowing off. Okay, that just sounds dicey.
Terrible. But instead of blowing the stack, right, and just really losing it with that person, you can understand they're coming from that because this is how they tick. Like, how the other night we were here on Friday night and, there were cords all over the floor.
Yes. Yeah, geez, I wasn't uncomfortable at all.
And, for some people that might drive them nutty and, you surrendered to it.
I had to.
You had to.
Yeah, well, we did a live broadcast. Yes, this is live obviously as well. But yes, we had politicians in independent small parties to actually be heard. And we decided to do it in the front room, if you like, where we do events and things rather than here. And yes, you're right. So for me, who I am, got the little OCD tendencies. I hate cables being everywhere. I like tidiness and order when it comes to these things.
Exactly.
So you're right. I had to just go, guess what? Okay, this is effectively a temporary setup.
Yep.
You've just got to accept that it's going to have wires everywhere. I'm just going to have to surrender to it.
You were very good for that. But have you ever had a situation, I know I have, where someone has literally flicked your switch in the wrong way?
Oh, man,
and
absolutely.
It's
the ejector button.
And it's just like a sudden trigger.
Okay.
And the whole point of the element is it's breaking a value system. So Maslow was really good on the value system and understanding, what your value systems are, what means a lot to you, what means a lot to the other person, and then hence being able to understand why they are acting the way they are. Or, even if they, like there's two business partners, let's just say, and one business partner does the real dirty on the other, right?
Okay.
And of course that person on the other side is going to get so angry, fire up and think, well, you know, I've been betrayed.
Yeah.
They're going to feel all these elements. But the question is, what made the business partner do that? And if everybody learned, I mean, unless you just ready to say, I'm not taking this anymore, and you're just ready to say, no, that relationship's not worth it, you know, especially if it's a good relationship, but then they've done something that has really overstepped your boundary line. It's a really good question to say to yourself first, what could be the principle here and their value system that caused them to operate from that? Because NLP holds a presupposition which some people can't accept, which is everybody is always coming from the right intention.
Oh, not sure if I agree with that.
I know. I knew you were going to say that.
I think a lot of people come from very, very poor intentions, or sometimes evil intentions, quite frankly.
Yeah.
But I certainly value your point from the point of view of this. Everybody's coming from their intention. All right.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So, and sometimes in a selfish way, but generally speaking, not. It's not a selfish thing. It's just you look after number one first, right? I mean, that's what you do. Okay?
Yeah.
That's the nature of the beast. So, you know, when you are looking at, in a business thing like that, that the person may have been thinking about themselves and their interaction, and maybe the problem here is just good old fashioned communication. Maybe they just didn't talk to the person enough about, and this is the thing we do so often. So when things are a small problem, we just say, we'll deal with it. I'll deal with it later. It's no biggie, no biggie. Yeah. But then that small one goes on another small one, on another, and then all of a sudden you've got this great hill to climb. Yeah. That's a terrible problem in any relationship.
Yes.
So I take your point.
Even bank robbers, they're coming from their highest intention, but it doesn't mean to say that's going to be a good thing for citizenship, you know, rules and regulations, you know, values. But for them, they're still coming from the highest intention.
Well, they're problem solvers. They're problem solvers. They go, hey, there's a lot of money over there. I don't have any. Let me solve this problem.
Yeah.
But again, it comes to that selfish or self surrounded. I don't want to say self-centered, all that kind of carry on, because they give connotations of people being selfish and being all about themselves.
Yeah.
Whereas most people in life, we're just looking from our own perspective. And
that's right.
Today, actually, I was actually speaking to someone in an earlier show today, and we were talking about bullying. Okay. It snuck into the conversation. And the short thing, I'll just say this very quickly, is the thing with bullying is that, when I was younger, if I was bullied, right, I would.
You were bullied?
Yeah. I got bullied. I did.
Wow.
And I solved it in a very old school way.
What, punch them?
Punch them in the face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look.
Problem solved, right? Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
They'll respect you. They won't come near you again. No, and then instantly everyone
goes, oh, okay. Yeah. But on the other side of it, when I changed schools, and I'll just be very brief on this, but when I changed schools,
you had to punch someone else again.
I was in that situation again. But what happened is that they saw the new kid, and I was a short ass, so they're going to go after my height, all of that. I mean, I was looking up at people at 5'2", we going, oh, hello. No, it wasn't quite that bad. But I grew eventually. But where I was is that at my school, these year 10s, and for my school, there were only 8 Steins and 10s at this stage. So they were the big kids.
Of course.
And this kid came up to me, and he got in my face and got very, very, put the arm on banged the locker, put his arm over the top, and started having a go at me because he was trying to show.
Standover man.
Yeah. Trying to show his authority and where he fitted. Okay. Now, I said something really, really horrible to him. Okay. That stopped it dead, okay?
Right.
I said to him, I went, hey, furnace face, why don't you just, right now.
What did you say?
I called him furnace face.
Furnace face,
now,
right.
Okay, now, that's when I was a kid. I'm what? I would have been 13 years old. I didn't know anything about the world, right? Now I realise, well, not now, but many years ago, I realised, okay, why did he actually bully me? You know why? Because of his insecurities. Now, why did I call him furnace face? Because he had a big very dark birthmark on half his face. You know, that purpley kind of birthmark that some people get?
Yeah.
Right?
So you struck a chord.
I struck a chord. I went straight for the jugular,
Whoa.
right? It's really cruel, really awful. Again, be fair, I was 13, right?
Yep.
But the thing was, instantly people just go, whoa, don't screw with him, right? Like, okay, like they just no, Aaron's not a guy who's going to be messed with. And it changed the dynamic immediately at the school. But as I say, the thing is, now I look back at that particular moment, and I think at the time it felt like a great, powerful moment. And it certainly improved my life at school.
Yeah.
But I also feel horrible now because I think I just teased someone effectively. I just brought out all your insecurities. Yeah. And the only reason you're bullying me, mate, is because of that
so you're kind of calling it their bluff in a way.
Essentially.
So you're bringing it out. Sometimes when you bring something out on the table, it kind of like diffuses it. So it's like that, you know, it's almost that bubbling that goes on inside that person.
So
and then you come along and you call it for what it is. And then next thing you know, you've got this situation, but wow, you know,
I mean,
you played back at him exactly, you know, how he was making you feel, you made him feel.
Spot on.
You mirrored him. You put a mirror up to him.
But you know, and I relate this to the NLP from the point of view of this is that, okay, you're kind of rewiring a situation.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, in context, I think to myself, as I say, years later, I think, gee, I wish I handled that differently because I've hurt another human being.
Yes.
But at the time, self-preservation's the thing. Okay. I've got a kid who's 1.5 foot taller than me who can, you know, beat me into a pole. Well, I don't know. I'll probably back myself, to be honest with you. But you know, there's a risk there. There's two bigger guys who are trying to put it on.
Yep.
I think that, you know, it is perspective. His opinion came from his fears and his insecurities.
Yeah.
And why he did what he did is because of his fears and his insecurities.
Absolutely.
And by you know, we're using a 13-year-old version of NLP.
Yeah, but it's still relevant. I mean, it's comes down to the because. Yeah. Do you know that human beings love a because?
Oh,
you know,
we do.
I did that because, and you know, sometimes if somebody does something and you flat out don't know the reason, it's you're making it up. You start, you know, creating this story in your mind, and then before you know it, you're arch enemies. But you know, they actually did this little test, right, where people were in a line at a canteen, and the line was really, really long, and people were going up and they were pushing in, and people were getting very disgruntled. And they were seeing that, how people were like, oh, and I hate people that push in, just by the way.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that.
And they did this over and over again until one day there was a because. And this guy, this was the test, right?
What's the test?
He ran in. He jumped in the line and said, oh, I just have to jump in the line because I'm hungry. Now, even though everybody else, but see, that was the proof of the pudding. It was a lame reason.
It was a lame
It was so lame, and yet it was bought because there was a because.
Well, two things. First, hey, Melissa, lovely to see you. Thank you for saying hello. Really appreciate that. And the other thing, I had a far more creative way of clearing the line at the canteen in high school. Much better. Okay. You don't need to cut in the line. You don't need to, because this is what you need. This is it. Yeah. Right? You know what you do?
No.
You go up to the back there and you go, fight on the bottom oval, fight on the bottom oval. And the whole canteen clears and you just waltz up and you're straight to the front.
Oh, my gosh.
There you go, right? Don't give me problems, give me solutions.
I won't tell you what my brother-in-law does to clear everybody out in the shopping centre when there's
Oh, dear.
But anyway.
Brilliant to see some comments coming through.
And, hello, everybody.
Absolutely. Cara, happy Wednesday to you as well. Lovely to see you there. Mark, who's an absolute legend. I'm going to bring this up on the big screen so I can actually read it with both eyes there. Okay, I think we've all been shown that situation, Aaron. I've walked away because I know it would be trouble, because I know I would have hurt them. And that's so true. Right. And it doesn't in this world at the moment where we're fighting like, okay, where everywhere you go, that's toxic masculinity. No, it's not. No, it's masculinity. Masculinity is important.
Standing for yourself.
Standing up for yourself is absolutely important.
Yeah.
And if you're a woman or a man and you're doing it, you know what? It's very positive. And what's wrong with the world right now is not enough masculinity, not enough true masculinity.
Yes.
So great point there, Mark. I completely agree with you on that one.
And people have got to stop confusing kindness with weakness.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's the ones that don't arc up that when they do, watch out, you know.
So true.
But
the quiet ones, watch the quiet ones.
Yeah. But, you know, the other thing too is when you're looking at it from the NLP perspective is another presupposition is, you know, the response you get from people is the communication that they heard you say. So it's the meaning of the communication. Yeah. So then you've got to understand, well, how did I communicate that? Did I communicate it appropriately? Because their response tells me I didn't.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
Ooh,
so
let's fall over on that one a bit.
Presuppositions, they're great. If anybody wants a whole list of them, because I'm not joking, you could look through every time you have a problem, right? You could pick up this piece of paper, even if you don't believe some of it, and look down and go, oh, okay, that's the presupposition that's going to change my perception today.
Right, okay. Well, write a list. Come on, get started. Okay. No, I'm only teasing.
Okay, we'll get into the questions.
I just want to say hello to Fritz. Really great to see you there, mate. Fantastic. Cool little picture in the corner too. And again, Cara, fantastic comments to see these coming through. I'll bring that up so I can read it. When we first put this big screen up there, I used to be able to read it, but, you know, years have gone on. The eyes don't work like they used to. So Cara said, yes, we love because we always seek for it. Now, that's well put, actually, from the point of view of, seeking that because.
It's seeking,
we
you know, truth seekers.
Asking questions.
Yeah, truth seekers. Yeah. Because is also wrapped up in why.
Yeah. It absolutely is.
You know?
You stole that thought out of my head.
It's really an elegant way of doing the why, but slipping the because into the conversation.
I don't do elegant.
But elegant doesn't mean elegant.
I'm teasing
like
you,
Audrey Hepburn.
Right.
Elegant is when a person in NLP and hypnosis is elegant, they know how to, their words are very smooth and they know how to, you know, speak eloquently, but it's not because they are, you know, speaking perfectly. They're just elegant in NLP. They can, instead of being clunky and chunky, they can just bring it in. So when someone becomes elegant, that means that they're usually been doing it for a number of years, you know?
Okay. Well, so it's the clunky one.
It's not sophisticated.
And the chunky one.
Yeah.
I want to jump to the questions if that's cool. Can we do that? Let's get into it. Right. So let's bring this one up on the biggie now. Okay. This is Andrew from Texas in the USA. What a beautiful part of the world. You lucky fella. All right. I've followed Abraham Hicks for years, have committed to my morning quoted for success, and I'm still not there. I want to be in my career. Am I missing something? What are your thoughts there?
Missing himself?
Oh, I don't know.
You know, if he's doing the morning routine, I tried that. I went down that path. There was the 5 a.m. coaches that thought that if you woke up at 5 a.m., then you got out of bed, you started your day. That's one of the elements to success. But if you're not a morning person and you're not productive at 5 a.m., then 5 a.m. is not going to work for you. I mean, I understand the Morning Miracle. The guy that wrote the Morning Miracle, he had a savage car accident and he was, you know, paralyzed. He was, you know, absolutely, you know, it wasn't a good prognosis. And he rebuilt himself. And through the Morning Miracle. You know, like he built himself from the ground up. But there are other ways to do that. So firstly, that's the thing. Now, Abraham Hicks, for those of you who do not know Abraham, she channels. Do you know what that means, channels?
No. Well, I do. In this context, I'm not sure.
It's interesting because I did a podcast yesterday with a lady who also channels.
Can't believe you're podcasting with other people.
So she's coming in next week. Yeah, she's coming in and sitting on the couch.
On the couch.
Yeah. So I better not talk too much about it.
No, don't spoil it.
But, I guess the part that's really interesting is with neuro-linguistic programming, you can, like, I remember when I was in clinic, I'd get lost in a vortex because I might see 6 people in one day, and that's actually a lot.
Yeah.
And you're almost back to back, and you go into this timeless space, and people would say to me, wow, aren't you exhausted? And I'm like, no, I'm invigorated.
Really?
So the first, yes, bringing it back to the NLP and the channeling, it's a different concept completely.
Okay.
But where there's a likeness is that you take yourself out of the equation, right?
Okay.
So, what I would suggest you do, Andrew, is firstly, take yourself out of the equation. Act like your own counselor and rise up as if you are looking at yourself and seeing what's happening, because the chances are that even though you might be following Abraham Hicks, you may be doing the morning routine. How are you feeling when you're doing the morning routine? How are you feeling in your life? Because emotions are energy in motion. And wherever you focus on, wherever attention goes, energy flows. So we really have to become very aware. I mean, I have this issue at the moment, and I have to pick myself up and go, hang on, I can't think about that, and I understand it. I even tease myself.
Really?
Oh, yeah, I tease myself. I make fun of myself because I'm like, oh, come on, Tezza Bay, what are you doing? You're literally throwing yourself in the mud.
Yep.
You're pulling up every possible bad thing that can possibly happen, and you're rubbing it in your face. And here you are, not enjoying the present. So are you enjoying the present, Andrew? That's the first thing. And the second thing is, with the morning routine, why not ask yourself, what brings you to life? What is it that's going to really flick your switch? And as far as the energy and the channeling or the NLP and the objectivity is concerned, I went into that vortex. You know why?
What's that?
Because I love it. It's just amazing. So because you've got to find what you love. You've got to really find what you love.
Oh, look, I don't disagree with that for a second. I think that how often in life we talk about the meaning of life or this or that. But look, honestly, finding your life purpose is vital.
Yeah.
It is absolutely vital.
Yes.
So many of us can just go to a job that we just do because it's a paycheck at the end of it. And look, that's got to be part of our life at some point.
I mean, there's a practicality, and there's the golden gloves, the handcuffs that they call it,
right.
Controlled by the golden handcuffs, if they're getting paid a lot of money. But has this guy actually, is he looking to, you didn't say actually, I might have been getting mixed up with somebody else. But even if you can rehearse rather than, thinking that everything you read about The Secret and Abraham Hicks is great, but let me tell you, to get the best, and you'll know this by next week, because I'm going to actually ask either my community or your community or our community if they would like to get channeled.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, because I'll tell you why. This, and she won't mind me saying this woman came to life at the end of the podcast.
A lot of people are a bit like that, okay?
So you've almost got to go zip.
Yeah, exactly. I'll just cut the rest out.
Yeah.
Well, what we'll do, okay, maybe we'll loosen her up. We'll give her a couple of stiff drinks before.
Oh, that's right, some vodka.
Yeah, exactly.
No, you've got to get her to channel Anya.
Oh.
Yeah, so she
I don't want her to sail away.
I know. But, if you want to get channeled, I mean, even Andrew, if you would like to get channeled, DM me and we'll bring you on the show.
How good's that?
Because she will be able to really do that. From where you're standing, how about doing a practice rehearsal?
Okay.
Rather than, because Abraham Hicks, it's great to be in her vortex. Like if you're sitting in front of her, like I was sitting in front of Lisa.
Right.
So obviously I'm then benefiting it because she's speaking into my life.
Okay.
And she's saying relevant things. They may not be relevant to you, right, Andrew? So what I would suggest is practice rehearse. Even if you want to do a morning routine, you might be getting out of bed and running or doing things that you really don't want to do, right? And yet you could lay in bed and just think about how you're going to be. But when you do this, you've got to be able to see it. You've got to be able to see it. Now, not everyone's visual. We've talked about that.
Very true.
But then you've got to touch on, how do you sound? What are people saying to you? Oh, you're amazing, or whatever it is, hear it in your mind's eye, and then go into the feelings. What does that feel like? Oh, it's empowering, or it's, I feel a sense of peace, or I feel a sense of joy.
What does it fire in you?
Yeah. So just, it only has to take a minute.
That's easy.
I mean, isn't that easy?
We can manage a minute.
I like shortcuts. I got no time for that, running and working out in the morning.
That's so true. Well, this is the thing. And also, this is my point, is this, that so many of these books, so many of these, great speakers and people do really good stuff, but a lot of them are early risers. Look, I get up at 3 a.m.
Yeah, and that's fine.
I go to bed at 3 a.m., all right? I do. So, this is not my time of the day, okay? Well, actually, that's... Yeah. Well, I'm far more creative, funny enough, right there in the middle of the night than I am later on. So me as a morning person, forget about it. So just know yourself, know your body, know your mind, know your soul from the point of view of what suits you, and don't feel that, you have to have that 5 a.m. jog.
Yeah.
Right? That 5 a.m. jog could be at 9. There's nothing wrong with that.
That's right. Okay? And I mean, if you love jogging, jog. But, you don't have to do what other people are telling you to do.
You don't. You don't. Find what suits you. We are individuals here.
Yeah.
So, build something that works for you. Take the advice. Great to use the advice. Brilliant to listen to other people's opinions. But use the bits that work for you.
Yep. Yeah. Perfect.
Shall we go on to our next question?
Yes, let's do it.
This question I see is from Sue. Sue is in Sydney. Beautiful stuff. I hope she's out there, right now, painting the Sydney Harbour Bridge, just to be completely Aussie there. All right, now I say that, and now I read the question. This looks very, very sad. So I do apologise for being upbeat on something very, very serious. Says, I lost my husband 3 years ago, and we had built a life together since we were in our teens. Wow. Well, first and foremost, congratulations on that, to have such a long life together there. I am now lost, as if I do not know who I am anymore. Okay, what can I do? What a situation. And I'll just start, if I may, on something like that. Yeah. My parents weren't together from their teens, but they were together, I don't know, at reasonable sort of age. But my parents were absolutely in love till the day my mum died. Now, I say that. My mum died way too early. So my mum died at 50, right? And my dad was lost, absolute lost. And the personality traits I saw him come up with, not impressive at all. He became, a bit of a jerk in a lot of ways, and did a lot of things I didn't agree with.
Because.
And at the time I thought, you piece of crap, how dare you be doing this, But then now with a few more, years under my belt, a few less hairs and a lot more grey ones.
You can say that again.
A lot less hair. But now with that perspective, well, now I'm a man. Well, actually, I'm a little bit older than he was when my mum passed away.
Yeah.
And, I'm not dead. I'm still flesh and blood, and I still want relationships in life and enjoyment and stuff. And his reactions, he was lost. He made bad calls, in my opinion, anyway.
Yeah.
So you, first and foremost, so don't feel ever, well, this is my advice, don't feel bad about yourself that you're lost, because you have every right to be lost. Yeah. Every right in the world to be lost. Someone to be in your life and be that much of such a, a central part of who you are, Because you do become one to a big extent.
You know, you hear about those people that grow old together. Yep. One dies and then the other one, you know, you've heard about that.
Absolutely.
And they, you know, they do this, but it doesn't have to be. And I just really want to say something that I'm not saying that this would be your case, Aaron, but a lot of people, like what you said about your mum passing at 50 and being really young, a lot of people get this idea in their mind because that happened in my family to my mother or my father, that might be what's happening to me. And yet it's quite the contrary.
Gotcha.
In fact, we can learn and stand on the shoulders of our parents. And I just feel like I'd like to say that because, you know, we can learn to say, well, that's what happened to them, so I'm going to go this way. I'm going to learn by them, because they'll be smiling down at me right now in heaven going, you know, Aaron, you make sure that you look after yourself.
We all make mistakes, right? Can we please just try and learn from as many of them as we possibly can? Mark's just come in with a comment here. I'd love to read that. It doesn't matter how old we are, Aaron. We try and try, and we might be getting older, but we're still not obsolete. We just keep going. Ain't that the truth?
That
right?
is so
that is
true.
Such a great point.
Boom. Thanks, Mark.
Yep.
But, you know, Sue, here's the thing. You are clearly going through an identity crisis.
Okay.
Now, think of it this way. If you have been with your husband since you were so young, you built so much in that way, so many rock solid foundations.
Yep.
So everything becomes relevant to that person. Now, how do I know that? Because it kind of happened to myself and my husband, my ex-husband.
Right.
And, you know, and it would be a referral. Everything would refer back to what we had built together, because we were so young when we got together. However, that relationship broke down.
Okay.
And, you know, great guy. We get on really, really well today. However, when I moved on, it was interesting, and I'm not saying for you to move on. You may not want to do that, but the very big point that I want to really make here, Sue, is that you feel that you don't know who you are anymore because you feel that half of you has actually gone.
Great.
So what, you know, the suggestions that I know that DeMartini would, and I've referred to Dr. John DeMartini, and maybe you can look him up, because he does the breakthrough experience, and he helps people to, I mean, anything from reconciliation to trauma to forgiveness to this kind of thing. Okay. When you're actually losing someone, but you've got to look at it as that space, and maybe even ask yourself, what would he want? How can I live a legacy that would make him proud?
I like that.
You know, while he's smiling down. Now, that's not necessarily an NLP thing.
No.
Okay, I will say that. I'll tell you what it does fall under: hypnosis.
Okay.
So,
well, you're kind of full bottle on that too. Let's be honest, right?
So that I'm obviously accredited in hypnosis. So even for people who would come in and say to me, I don't believe in hypnotherapy, and I say, well, don't believe in it, but what if I told you that I'm going to unhypnotize you, right? And you don't have to go to sleep, because if you go to sleep, who the heck am I speaking to, right? And you start doing all these things. You start saying all these things. What's going on here is you're pulling down their resistance.
Okay.
And because you're giving them the opportunity to, you know, make the change. So coming back to you, Sue, with this kind of hypnosis, it's a bit like the channeling is a different kind of model. It's more where that person is receiving downloads. I think you're going to want to watch the show next week. I really do, because she's receiving downloads, and then she is speaking, and she's so apt. Oh my gosh, like, she's incredible. And you know, with hypnosis, do you know what I would do?
What's that?
I would take you back, Sue, to before you met him. Like, even though you were a teenager, to when you were a little girl, or there was a point of time where you were a teenager, maybe, I don't know, 16, 15. Well, maybe you were standing on the beach having fun with your friends at 14.
Never know.
So go back to that stage. And what I would do in hypnotherapy is I would actually rebuild that so that you develop your identity. You have the love of your life. You have all those elements. And it's just a kind of a imagination thing anyway. So your conscious is probably saying, oh, but that's not true, and that's normal as well.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what hypnosis does. It actually takes that person into that trance and helps them to connect in, and then rebuild yourself and ask yourself the question, right. What would your husband want for you right here? Because a lot of people, they sort of get locked into grief and feel like, oh, if I let go of that grief, if I go out and live my life, this is a very real thing, they feel guilty.
I've lived this. So I 100% agree with you. Over my children, I lived in, and I still live in a little bit of grief. I'm not going to lie. Okay, I can't get rid of that. But I lived in such a massive amount of grief for such a long time that every time I became happy, I actually felt like I was not respecting my love for my children. It was awful, absolutely awful. And for that reason, I wasn't allowing myself to be happy. And this is the thing that Sue, if I could put forward to Sue, that you don't ever lose that love for that wonderful husband of yours, as I will never lose the love for my beautiful kids. And one day, maybe in the afterlife, you'll be able to catch up with him and enjoy that, and away you go. Maybe for me, my children will come back to me one day after the brainwashing is over. Who knows? But the thing is, okay, you owe it to yourself. You've got your life to live. And it is not disrespectful to your partner or your children or anybody like that if you choose to go on. You have your life. Guess who owns Sue's life? Sue owns Sue's life. Right? So just go. I think you've given some really great advice.
Yeah, and I think it's too, even when you go back, that's kind of pre your husband, right? But then when it comes to that beautiful relationship that you shared together, it was a two-way street. It wasn't just him, about him being the great man that he was. There was greatness in you as well. And I feel that's what you can really emphasize on, really allow yourself to go in and have gratitude and build on that and remember the things that you did so well that maybe you even compensated, because quite often that happens in a relationship. One will compensate, and I heard you say it in one of our episodes where, you can't be exactly the same because you've got to have that kind of equal balance. So what was your, upside and cash in on that?
Cash on it, that's a really good way of putting it. I like that very, very much. Okay, very cool. Shall we jump to the next question then?
Why not? Let's do it.
Okay, but
the lucky last, everyone.
I want Sue just to have a wonderful life, and I really understand it. So get past that grief and honour yourself and honour your future by actually having one. All righty, let's have a look. So our next question is from Dennis. Dennis is from New Zealand. So there we go. Oh, look, the land of the long white cloud. I've got so many Kiwi mates to say right now. I feel like I should just start pulling the piss out of everybody right now, because that's what we do. So Dennis is obviously a top bloke coming from down that neck of the woods. I've been told that I am morbidly obese. Jeez, mate. Look, hey, I hear you. I do not feel I overeat, but no diet I've tried works. Both my parents are trim, so what can I do to lose the excess weight I carry? That's an interesting one.
It is. Now, what they call morbidly obese, I've heard people tell me that they have been told by their doctor that they're morbidly obese. They don't look they don't look morbid to me.
Right.
But there might be
negative.
Okay, so what it is, firstly, I'm going to take a leaflet out of Ian's book, my husband's book here. He would say to you, number one, you don't want to go on a diet, because anything that has got the word die in it can't be good for you. That's the first thing. The other thing is, you didn't say this in your question, but I'm just going to help you in terms of what my practices were, because actually when I became a hypnotherapist, you have to kind of latch on to something, and you kind of have a specialty, and it just happened to be the body. It happened to be that's just it. It was about people's body and their health and things like that. So we learnt very quickly that you do not use the word losing weight. And the reason for it, as Ian would say, is if you lose your keys, what are you going to do?
You go find them.
Exactly. Yeah. So what are you going to do if you lose weight?
Oh, you're going to go find it
again. You're going to go and find it again. Because have you ever heard of people that do go on these diets and then next thing, they are putting it back on again?
Oh, so often, so often.
Yeah.
It's like the banding surgery thing, right? Okay, I know a few people have had that done, and they just find very creative ways of putting the weight back on, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because they haven't broken the habit now. With Dennis's point about the fact he doesn't overeat, I 100% agree with that and understand that. I'm not a big eater myself. I really am not.
I hear this all the time. You know that.
I eat less than most blokes. Okay, simple as that. Don't get me wrong. If I need to, I can haul ass. I can do all right, but I don't feel I need it. Okay, so I do eat less.
But are you a closet eater?
No, I'm a middle of the night eater. So that's my problem.
Yeah, but so am I.
Yeah, see,
there's nothing wrong with that.
No, it's bad for your metabolism, apparently.
I know, but if you're hungry, I'll touch on that in a moment. But anyway, keep going.
My body's just a lot more efficient than yours. See, mine stores it. Yours, but that's the thing. No, with me, no. I eat very little during the day. I generally eat healthy stuff. Obviously, there's exceptions, rather.
Yeah.
So I hear you, mate, and it's very, very, very tough indeed.
Yes.
The thing I would say is don't be looking at shortcuts. Shortcuts don't work.
No.
I think the psychological thing is a very, very good thing. I think if you can, it's something I've never tried, and maybe this is something we should talk about later on, you and I, but hypnosis is a really smart thing. I've heard people having great results with hypnosis.
Absolutely, 100%. It took me about 5 years to convince myself that I was going to actually do it, because I had a few moral issues with it.
Right.
And I wasn't into those stage presenters, although once I got to know what was behind it, it changed everything. I'm just going to tackle the fact that you say that you don't eat much. Now, that is a very typical thing, especially with women. I've heard them say, but Terry, I don't eat much. And people get shocked when they see me eat.
Right.
Because number one, mum laughs at me because I take my food very seriously. So, we talk about being present. I'm very present with my food. Okay. Like I'm eating my food.
No. You're tasting every bit, right?
That's exactly right. Now, I would absolutely, I'll put 90% and $100 down.
Okay.
That you're not savoring your food when you eat it. In other words, when it's in your mouth, it probably goes in your mouth and into your stomach. Real quick, smart and lively.
Now, I'm going to be a bad person here. I'm going to butt in on you on this.
Yeah, go for it.
With a compliment. Okay. I decided to be conscious about that. After you and I spoke and you actually said this, I thought, I'm going to be conscious and I'm going to notice if I'm doing that or not.
Yeah.
I noticed. And now I'm a guy who loves his food, right? I like good food, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So if I'm going to eat, I want it to be tasty, right?
Yeah.
But sometimes you're just eating because, hey, it's the time of the day or whatever, or you're supposed to eat about
because
now.
Okay,
which is just weird.
Yeah.
But the other thing is, was I consciously enjoying every bite? Okay. No. So what a waste.
Just eating it.
Yeah.
Just eating it. And you know that saying when you're young, you got to eat everything on your plate. There's starving children in Ethiopia.
Yeah.
Name one.
Name one.
So, I mean, I'm just being facetious there. But, firstly, the fact you're focusing on being morbidly obese, quite often people focus on, especially women. I know you're a man, Dennis, so that's great. It's good to, it happens on both sides. It's not just females that get upheaded about themselves, but they get really self-conscious about how they look in clothing, and they start focusing on how big their bodies are, what their, how bad they look, and they're focusing so much on that the subconscious mind is going, yes, let's keep on keeping on. Because they're focusing on it. So it's causing that to happen over and over again. So number one, Paul McKenna, go check him out. Paul McKenna, gee, I should be taking royalties here today. But I can make you thin with my words. Okay. That's his famous thing.
Don't eat. There you go. Yeah, 2 words, don't eat. No, jump.
Yeah, he would put blindfolds over people and blindfold them so that they could savor the taste because, what am I eating? So, you have to really concentrate on the taste. And people did. Okay. And, so this is my little thing that I say when I'm doing hypnosis. And that is that if you are eating and just dumping the food in your stomach, putting it in your mouth and swallowing it and not being conscious about it. And you'll know if you're not conscious about it because you might have a piece of toast and go walking around and think, did I finish that piece of toast? Because you don't remember. Or popcorn's the famous one. Oh, really? People sitting in you know how you're sitting there, you're not really thinking about the popcorn.
No, you're not.
You're watching the movie and it's just shoveling into your mouth. By the time you it's all gone, right? Where's it gone? But here's the thing. If you are not concentrating on what you are eating, the metabolism slacks off.
Really?
It doesn't activate.
Lazy bugger.
I know. I even talk about it like soldiers at the gate and you're letting that thing pass through,
Yep.
And they're asleep. And so waking up your metabolism, savoring your food. But as I said, Paul McKenna says, eat when you are hungry.
Hugely important.
Eat what you truly desire. So I know that this is hard when you're a kid and you've got to sit at the table with mum and dad. But what do I feel like eating? What is it? Because probably I would imagine, Dennis, that your metabolism is so switched off that you can't even comprehend whether you are hungry or not. Some people don't know.
I actually agree with you on this.
Yeah.
I consciously did this. This is a long time ago in my life, but I consciously made a decision to actually only eat when I was hungry. That's all I did, right?
Yeah. Did you feel hungry when you ate?
Well, the thing is, I just felt, I realized I'm not that hungry. Okay. And I dropped 11 kilos in like the space of 3 weeks. Basically, all I did was just change that very small thing of not the whole, I get up in the morning, I'm supposed to have breakfast now. I get to lunch, I'm supposed to have lunch now or dinner, whatever, all that
yes.
And a comment that Mark brought up before, and I'm just going to quickly throw this out, if I may, about the fact of sitting down. We've all got these damn jobs now. Like it happens to me. My God, I'm really, really finding the negative effects of this because I'm sitting in front of a computer so often now. Where I didn't previously in my life. I used to be a little bit more active, a lot more active. That's a problem. So, again, make conscious decisions, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's changing.
Don't neglect it, don't use it as a second thing, Make sure that you're with your food. Eat when you're hungry. Eat what you truly desire.
Yep.
Stop when you feel good. Now, if you feel like you've expanded your stomach, and obviously a lot of people get that way so that they, want to fill it up, and that's their justification. But if you make a fist like that, that's usually the inner size of your stomach.
That's what I hear.
Yeah. So that is actually, so I used to go like that with people and put my hands up against them, and women especially, and I'd say, you have the exact potential. We're the same size. Okay. Underneath all that clothing, we are the same size. Now, when I say clothing, I'm talking flesh and skin.
Oh, okay.
So it's just what's happened here also is that you've got to look at the psychology of it. So obviously this is the really big one, but I don't know whether I finished that. So eat when you're hungry, eat what you truly desire, stop when you feel good, and eat consciously. So that's the first thing. The last thing is, where and when did you begin becoming obese. Were you born obese? I don't think so.
Pretty rare, I would think.
I mean, you do get chubby checker babies and they're really cute.
Yeah.
But,
absolutely.
It's very rare. And usually if a kid is really obese, there's a problem attached to it. But generally speaking, I'll say 90% as an absolute just stab in the dark of people whom are, suffering from obesity. There is a point of time when you used food as a cover-up.
Yep.
So you used food to comfort eat. You used food. I've even had women who were sexually abused. And so one woman in particular, she told me, I realize now that I was making myself unattractive, and but that was a subconscious thing. So it happened when she was about like 8 or 9. It was a terrible story. But
I think you and I have spoken to this person together.
Yes.
Yeah,
so that was the reason. So if you go back, I mean, Tony Robbins, if Tony Robbins can do this, I can do this. And that is that he had someone who stuttered. Now, stuttering is a really difficult thing to change.
It most certainly is.
When Anthony Robbins went back and discovered where and when that started, because he wasn't born with a stutter, probably couldn't talk at all, no pun intended. So he realized that his mum and dad were having a fight, and he happened to be watching a cartoon, Ren and Stimpy or something like that. I don't know, but whatever it was, there was a stutter, and then he picked that up.
We're funny mimics, aren't we?
Yeah. He stopped. Now, Tony probably did some of his magic, I would imagine. So going back there, nailing it, and then getting him to visualize like he went through his life. Now, in your case, Dennis, keeping it relevant, if you can go back to when, you feel this happened, and then create a timeline where you had better habits, you're leaving that behind, whatever happened here, and you're creating better habits until where you get here today. And in the meantime, accept yourself and know that you're absolutely wonderful no matter what size you are.
Look at you go. I agree with basically just about everything you've just said there. And I think also winding back a little, I don't know, a wrap up of so many things in life that, whether it be, the way you grew up, the way you ate, the bullying, whatever. Okay. The reality is when you are lucky enough to have children, use that opportunity, to basically try to make their life better than yours was. So you know what, whatever you adversity you went through, if you like, we'll use the food thing. Like I used to always make sure that my kids were as healthy as possible, really healthy food. Lots of not all processed crap, real food, and now, no offense to my
parents. Might have been your mother's legacy.
It could have very well been.
She left because that might have frightened you.
It's absolutely true. Maybe that's why she dropped dead so young. I mean, it's very true. To have a heart attack at 50 is horrific.
Yeah,
so,
it's pretty young.
One last thing, we've actually run over time, but that's all right. We do it all the time. We're shocking with our time management.
Especially on this show.
We do. Now, this is a question from Nikki. Hello, Nikki.
Hey, Nikki. She's a hypnotherapist.
Oh, she must be awesome. There we go. No, I know.
As well. Nikki refers a lot of clients to me, ones that she doesn't want. I hope I'm allowed to say that, Nikki.
Too late now.
Much love to you.
It's easy. So Nikki's asked that question.
Yeah.
What is that product?
I do.
Oh, there you go.
I've never stopped since the day that I discovered it. Okay. And I'm just wondering if you've ever been on it or whether that's the case. But I still have a lot of Ian's patients calling me up. Yep. And I find it hard to keep up with the demand at the moment. But it's yes. The answer is yes.
The answer is yes. Excellent. All right, with that absolute bombshell, we will end the show. Stealing a little bit from an English TV show there. Thank you all for being part of the show. I've seen the numbers and the places that the show's going out to all over the place. So today, a great show. Really enjoyed it. Thank you, Terry, for everything you bring.
And you.
Really appreciate it. Yeah, it's great. So have a wonderful rest of your day. If you're in the mood for some great tunes, hey, tonight from 7 o'clock, if my memory serves me correctly, it's going to be Raid the Crate here with Wayne Brown, which is just a lot of fun. So get onto your old get onto your computer, get onto your phone, get onto your whatever you like, your tablet, anywhere in the world, edgeradioaustralia.com. Press the play button and hear some great tunes, a great guy, and just more of the fantastic stuff that we do here at Edge Radio Australia. Thank you very much.
Beautiful.
This is the end of the Genius Zone on Edge Radio Australia.